I'm David Flatto, and I teach in the summer program at Drisha, where I teach Talmud. This week's Parsha is Parashat Mishpatim. Parashat Mishpatim happens on the heels of Sinai. And here we see the content of what was given at Sinai. And it's a plethora of laws. And we enter into the thickets, the details of these laws, where we learn about civil laws and ritual laws, etc. And yet the opening set of laws is a peculiar choice. We begin with the laws of Eved Ivri. Why should we begin with the laws of Eved Ivri? They seem to either be marginal or even worse, disturbing. Laws of slavery. Aren't there better themes to begin with? Themes of charity, themes of holiday. Why begin with the laws of Eved Ivri? This is a question that bothered commentators for a long time. Rosh Shimshon Raphael Hirsch has a famous explanation where he brackets the issue of slavery but talks about what we learn about Torah She'Ba'al Peh and Torah She'Bechtav that's worth looking into. I want to pursue a different line, that of the Ramban. But the Ramban keeps it all too brief, and I think it's worth expanding. The Ramban just says the following comment: "Mipnei sheyesh b'shiluach ha'eved b'shana hashvi'it zeicher l'yetziat Mitzrayim haniskar b'dibur harishon." So the Ramban links the laws of slavery and Eved Ivri to Aseret HaDibrot, which begins with the way God took us out of Egypt and freed us from slavery. I think actually if we expand on what the Ramban is saying, we'll realize that there's not just thematic value to beginning with the laws of Eved Ivri, but I would say it more sharply. We must begin with the laws of Eved Ivri. There is no other place to begin the Parsha of Parashat Mishpatim. Why is that? To appreciate that, I'd suggest focusing in on one particular verse in Parashat Mishpatim about Eved Ivri. It's verse 5. And this, to me, is one of the poignant moments of the set of laws that we receive. The Torah describes the Eved Ivri, who's standing at the door after 6 years of slavery and now has to make a decision. And the Eved Ivri makes the following bold choice: Lo etzeh chofshi. I do not want to be free. This seems unthinkable. How could a Jew, an Ivri, articulate the words Lo etzeh chofshi? Isn't that contrary to the entire message of the first part of Shemot? The first part of Shemot fought against, militated against slavery, the evils of bondage. And of course the dream of the Jews collectively was to be chofshi. And here the Torah tells us that there will be an Ivri who may articulate the words Lo etzeh chofshi. But the Torah, in a challenging teaching, makes us confront head-on this possibility. Indeed, it is possible that a Jew who experienced centuries of slavery and was freed, at least externally, conditions-wise, from bondage and slavery, will nevertheless not rise up and choose liberty. Because there's a fear of freedom, as Eric Fromm taught us, and liberty is a challenge. It's not just enough to have conditions where we are free to choose to do what we want to do. Liberty is something much more profound. It requires assuming responsibility, making difficult choices, not being an object but rather a subject, rising to the task of responsibility for yourself, for your community, for your destiny. That requires a bold choice, a brave choice. And now each Jew is being asked, what do you choose? You are at the threshold of Parashat Mishpatim. You are at the door post. You are at the portal. It's a portal out of Egypt. But what do you choose? Do you choose to remain in Egypt? If you do, know the consequences. You'll be tethered to the door le'olam, forever. Alternatively, do you choose to march through that door? But if you march through that door, that also requires assuming responsibility for liberty, for pursuing it, for nurturing it, for realizing it. Do you have that desire? Only if you have that desire are you ready to walk through the door and to receive the full content of the Torah of Parashat Mishpatim. So Parashat Mishpatim pauses us when we're at the threshold, at the portal, and asks us, are we ready for this choice? Well, it's in front of us. What choice are we going to make? Will we stay tethered to Egypt, or will we march through that door and receive the Torah of Parashat Mishpatim, the Torah of Sinai, and pursue liberty? In conclusion, I think it's interesting to also bring in beautiful insight of the Sfat Emet, the Ger Rebbe. The Sfat Emet, just in passing almost, notes the rich language of the Parsha of Eved Ivri and its deep resonance with another Parsha. He points to terms like Ahafti, right? Ahafti et Adoni. Ahafti, one word. The second word, Mizuzot. A third word, Eved. And then also the theme of the Ozen. And he says all these words are deeply familiar from another Parsha in the Torah. The Parsha of Shema. The Parsha of Shema also talks about Avodah. But it's not Avodah to the Master, it's Avodah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Parsha of Shema also talks about Ahava, but it's Ahava of Hashem. The Parsha of Shema also talks about the Mezuzot, which record the teachings of Shema, etc. Parsha of Shema also talks about the Ozen and Shema Yisrael. Here we have two different images of people who stand at the door. One person who stands at the door is the Eved Ivri, mired in the world of Egypt. And the other person who stands at the door is each one of us who rejects bondage of Egypt and instead pursues liberty, embraces Sinai, and chooses to say, Ahafti et Hashem, and I want to be a different kind of Eved, not a slave, but a noble servant in pursuit of liberty, following God's command. Shabbat Shalom.